Welcome back. You're watching To The Point. The Maharashtra government has decided to make the screening of a Marathi film in one theatre in all multiplex complexes between 6 and 9 p.m. compulsory. Is this justified, or is it an unwarranted and dictatorial decision? My guests are Shiv Sena spokesperson Manisha Kayande, the well-known columnist Siddharth Bhatia, censor board member Ashok Pandit, and the former editor of the Times of India, Diktat. Mr. Pandit, let me begin with a simple question. Is this decision requiring multiplex owners to show a Marathi film in one theatre out of the 5 or 6 that they have at a particular fixed time between 6 and 9 p.m. justified, or is it dictatorial? Mr. Pandit? I don't think Mr. Pandit can hear me. Let me put that to you, Dilip Padgankar. Justified or dictatorial?
Absolutely unjustified. I see no logic at all in this decision. This has happened time and again in the past to Karan, where you forced theatre owners to show Marathi films. It hasn't worked. And it hasn't worked because unless there is a demand from people to see a particular film, what is the whole point of imposing this kind of compulsion? It used to be, you remember, way back in the 60s, 70s, the National Film Development Corporation financed films. Great films emerged from that period, but they got awards in festivals, but no one got to see them because there was no marketing of these films and because they simply didn't attract enough viewers. So I just don't see any logic in what this government has done as far as making it compulsory for theatre owners to show Marathi films.
Manisha Kayande, how do you want to respond to Dilip Padgankar that this is totally unjustified?
Well, I don't feel so. There's hardly anything unreasonable about it. I think Marathi movies have reached up to the Oscar, and if you feel the quality of Marathi films has always been better. And if you see now that the multiplexes, they show the Marathi films at sometimes at 10 o'clock in the morning, sometimes at 12:30 in the afternoon, and people cannot see them. And every state has a right to protect its own regional identity and its own regional language. I think it's a welcome move by the government, and it must be taken in a positive sense. Because not only the Maharashtrians, even the Gujaratis, even the North Indians, and if you say that Mumbai is a cosmopolitan city, then definitely all people from all walks of life, different languages, they go to see Marathi films, they want to see Marathi films, but the timings are always odd. It's always at 10 a.m. or it's always at 12:30. How is it justified? Tell me.
Let me bring in Siddharth Bhatia on that particular point of timing. This order actually is not totally new. The Congress NCP government in 2010 was the government that first ordered multiplexes to show a Marathi film once a day in one of the theatres. But at that time, as Vinod Thavade, the culture minister, pointed out today, the films were being shown either at 8 a.m. or at 11:30 p.m. Now, if films are shown at those very awkward hours, there cannot possibly be a demand to see them. So when Dilip says there's no demand, isn't that partly a reflection of the fact that the timing was such that there couldn't be? Now that the timing has been forced to be between 6 and 9, might you not find there is a demand? And is that not a fairer way of doing it anyway?
Karan, there are 2 or 3 things here. Firstly, the 6 to 9 slot, that it is prime time, is no longer valid because a lot of people go to see movies several times during the day, and multiplexes are showing movies at all kinds of odd hours. There are a lot of economic compulsions to show the movies at different times, including rentals. Now, the Marathi film industry is going through a very, very creative patch at the moment, and some really good films are coming out. They need to be encouraged. Many mediocre Marathi films are being made. Many good Marathi films are going to be made, and they need to be encouraged. The problem lies in the fact that Mr. Fadnavis has acquired a reputation of late of being dictatorial and just imposing things without any kind of consultation, any across-the-board discussion, any kind of understanding, study of the demographics, study of timings, finding out whether multiplexes are, will lower their rents. Just nothing. come out with an idea and impose an order. And that, I think, is going to create the problem.
Okay.
Eventually, what's going to happen if this thing is imposed, take my word for it, within 6 months or a year, it will collapse, because the number of Marathi films that are being made simply won't justify that kind of quota system. And eventually, it will fade away. There have been many such efforts in the past. What you need to do is to find ways. One second. What you need to do is find ways to give tax subsidies, ticket subsidies, and work out a way which is fair to the Marathi filmmakers as well as to the multiplexes, more importantly to the audiences.
Ashok Pandit, clearly the intention of the government, and they're saying so themselves, is to encourage and help promote Marathi films. And that surely must be unimpeachable. But do you think making it mandatory to show it at a particular time is the wrong way? Or do you agree with the other argument that if you don't make a particular timing mandatory, multiplex owners will show it at 8 in the morning and 11 at night when no one can possibly watch it?
Karan, at the outset, I would like to tell you that Marathi cinema is one of the finest cinemas as far as the regional category is concerned. They have talented people, great makers, great writers, great actors, and with the kind of budget they make a film, it's really commendable. And it really needs a boost, it really needs a protection, it really needs an upliftment. There's no two opinions on that. That is the right way of doing it. And if you feel that 6 to 9 is a prime time, which I agree to Siddharth, that prime time is no time now, it's not television. Any good film, if it comes in theatre, people go and watch the film.
Absolutely.
Then you say 6 to 9, fine. I abolish the entertainment tax from this film so that people come and watch the film with minimum cost of the tickets. The producer doesn't have more weight. The theatre owner doesn't have to spend so much of money.
Mr. Pandit,
ultimately, it's business.
Let me put you a very good point. Let me put you a very good point to Manisha Kayande. Dr. Kayande, there are 2 points being made, both by Ashok Pandit as well as by Siddharth Bhatia before that. First of all, the Fadnavis government should have sat with the people concerned and consulted and discussed rather than simply one day wake up and impose an order. That would have made it more receptive and more suggested greater sensitivity. And second, the better way of, in fact, encouraging and promoting Marathi films is to cut the film tax, to give other financial help and benefit, rather than making it mandatory. Do you think, therefore, the approach is wrong, even if the intention is good?
Well, see, already the BJP Shiv Sena have been voted to power by the people of Maharashtra, and the representatives who are there in the house, definitely Mr. Taude must have consulted everybody. And if you see the past record, that the multiplexes have always avoided Marathi films or regional films. So therefore the government had to impose. And you see that morning 8 AM or night 11 o'clock, it's not a comfortable time. Huge college going students, they would prefer going to 6 to 9. Okay. And of course the government is giving all types of subsidies for Marathi films. They want to promote Marathi. And sometimes the government has to take some action.
But Dr. Kayande, you've sidestepped my point. Let me bring in Dilip Padgankar.
Sometimes the government has to come.
Well, the argument you're getting, Dilip Padgankar, from Dr. Kayande, when I asked her whether the approach was wrong, even if the intention is good, is that the government would have consulted with other representatives in the assembly. And perhaps they did, we don't know. But they certainly didn't consult with the multiplex owners, they didn't consult with civil society. Do you think the Fadnavis government is guilty of believing that they always know the right thing and always know how to do it, and therefore impose their decisions without consulting?
Listen, this is a blatant populist approach, and I'm afraid it has undercurrents of some kind of regional chauvinism to it. The reason why multiplexes do not show Marathi films or regional films is because Marathi films and regional films do not fetch as much money as Bollywood films do. However, there is a way out. One way has been suggested. Tax is one route. The other, I think, which is a long-term thing, is do what the French government did in the 60s and 70s, which is to set up a chain of cinema halls across Maharashtra which will only screen Marathi films. Now, there is no thought given to setting up these permanent cinema halls. What you do is one morning you just come and say, we impose this time, we impose this film. So I'm really not at all happy that, and these consultations, what consultations? Have they consulted the multiplex owners? Have they consulted the entertainment industry? If the finance minister of this country can be consulting various groups like the CII and FICCI, is there some such mechanism in place where you consult representatives of the entertainment industry before you come up with this ban?
Okay.
I'm sorry, I think this interference is unwarranted, is uncalled for. Yes, if your intention is good, find also the right kind of means and methods to implement your good intent.
Is there a danger, Siddharth Bhatia, that what the Maharashtra government is doing for Marathi films in Mumbai and in the state Maharashtra as a whole could become a trend? That the Tamil Nadu government does something similar in Chennai, that the Bengal government does something similar in Kolkata, that in fact you suddenly find through this mechanism regional chauvinism being promoted as Dilip feared could be the case?
Well, you don't need promotion of cinema to prove to us that regional chauvinism is a growing trend. Let's not also forget that the Tamil cinema, the Telugu cinema, I don't know the intricacies of their distribution system, but has been much bigger, much more powerful, and draws a much bigger audience in Tamil Nadu. For example, it's far more influential. As I said before, the Marathi film industry is now in a very good growth phase, critically as well as commercially. Hindi film producers are investing huge amounts of money to make good Marathi films. You know, one of the things I think Dr. Kande should realize that if you impose the 6 to 9 kind of rule, a lot of people who can't make it to 6 to 9 will now not be able to see them. Is to impose a rule. Okay. Not have any kind of discussion, thought process, study, research or consultation. And I'm afraid if this gets challenged, or worse, if it gets ignored after a little while, the whole thing will simply just collapse and it will be counterproductive.
Let me bring in Ashok Pandit, who's been patiently putting his finger up. Mr. Pandit, there is a fair amount of opposition to what the government has done, but there probably is a fair amount of popular support as well. How do you think this issue is going to play out? Because the rule has been announced and that is now the law of the state as far as Maharashtra is concerned. Do you see the government amending or backtracking, or do you think it's going to stick to what it's announced today?
You know, Karan, I would like to mention one very interesting thing.
Very quickly, sir. Very quickly.
That the biggest tragedy with the entertainment industry, especially the film industry, whether it's regional or the mainline industry, is the government's previous and today's has never considered the film industry as film industry. None of the budgets. Now recently, if this government was seriously interested in uplifting Marathi cinema, recently the budgets have been discussed and passed in the assembly.
Right, sir. But
I would have really expected, and we were expecting, that the state government should have given major relief to the Marathi industry, to the Marathi film industry. Taxes should have been reduced. Their shootings should have been announced free of cost. There should have been a lot of benefits given to them. When they need us for the faces, that is the time the politics of this country call us. Center also is the same thing.
Can I interrupt? We're running out of time. Mr. Pandit, what about my question? We're running out of time. Do you see the government backtracking and amending?
Then you want to, show us the films at a particular given time. So it's high time that you start taking the film industry seriously.
All right. I'm afraid we've run right out of time at that point. Dr. Kande, and if only you can do it in 10 seconds.
To put up a point.
10 seconds, very quickly, in 10 seconds. 10 seconds, go ahead. Go ahead, Dr. Kayande, make your point in 10 seconds.
Yes. Well, see, the entire Bollywood, the Hindi film industry is earning from Maharashtra. Out of the 4 to 5 screens, one screen showing Marathi. What is the harm?
All right.
For promotion of Marathi, if the government is doing something, what's wrong about it? Why so much hue and cry?
The only problem is that...
And definitely government has the right to impose.
The only problem is that you're not just imposing a decision that they have to show a particular type of film, but you're also deciding when they show it, and theatre owners feel that they have a right to determine those things themselves.
Why not 6 to 9? That's the most comfortable time for women, for children, for college-going students.
All right, I'll leave you with that thought. The government has a right to impose. The problem is that in a democracy, the word imposition is not very democratic. People like to choose and decide for themselves, not be told what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. But if that's what the government wants to do, the government will face the people in 5 years' time and discover what the people thought. I thank my 4 guests for joining me, and there we end this particular episode. If you have been, thanks for watching. Goodbye.